In a recent study devoted to manuscript theft, biblioclasm, provenance research, and the role played by specialists in the circulation of detached medieval leaves through the international antiquarian market, Professor Carla Rossi writes, "Every great public library preserves, beyond its catalogues and collections, a darker memory, the names of those who, at times, have violated its books and manuscripts." Saturday, 7th of June, 1879. British Museum, Round Reading Room. Royal MS, 16E8, disappears in broad daylight. The name of the last reader remains preserved in the archives of the institution. Exactly 1 century later, another medieval manuscript is mutilated inside a public Italian library. 3 illuminated leaves are cut from a Renaissance codex preserving the works of Raoul Bollard. Once again, the name of the last reader is recorded in the consultation register. For decades, the stolen leaves disappear. Then, in 2013 and 2015, they re-emerge on the international antiquarian market through 2 London auctions. The provenance of the leaves could still be read directly on the parchment itself. The original foliation of the Turin manuscript remained visible in the upper margins. The texts, the iconography, the historical context, and the codicological features all corresponded precisely to the mutilated manuscript preserved in Turin. The auction descriptions correctly identified the author, the atelier, the political context of the war against Venice, and the cultural milieu of the Grand Rhétoriqueur. Yet the catalogue omitted any reference to the public Italian manuscript mutilated in 1979. Instead, the detached leaves were presented to collectors as the possible remains of a previously unknown royal presentation copy. The catalogue stated, "The Geneva manuscript was previously thought to be unique. The present leaves are the only evidence that a second copy existed. Presumably, 1 copy was made for the author, and another was a presentation copy for the king. The Geneva manuscript has neither dedication nor royal arms. The execution of the present leaves is superior to the style of the Geneva copy. They may well be from the presentation copy." In 2018, after a lengthy investigation coordinated by the Italian Carabinieri Command for the Protection of Cultural Heritage and Interpol, the leaves were finally recovered and returned to the manuscript from which they had been removed. The story, however, did not end with the restitution of the manuscript. A few years later, after documenting the circulation of detached medieval leaves and transmitting evidence concerning networks involved in the dismantling and commercialization of illuminated manuscripts, Professor Rossi became the target of an extensive campaign of delegitimization, intimidation, and character assassination. The attacks originated primarily from Peter Kidd, the same Sotheby's collaborator who had prepared the catalogue descriptions for the auctions through which the stolen leaves re-entered the international antiquarian market, together with other figures connected to the antiquarian and academic milieu examined in Professor Rossi's research. What emerges from this case is not only the vulnerability of medieval manuscripts inside public institutions, but also the growing violence directed against those who attempt to reconstruct their history, trace their dispersal, and document the illicit circulation of cultural property.